지금부터
Ladies and gentlemen, we will begin the session on institutional approach for the activation of local municipal police system. My name is Choi Ji-hip. So this session provides simultaneous interpretation. Korean, English, and Japanese. Korean, channel 4, English, channel 5, Japanese, channel 6.
provided, so please use the interpretation device. And the channels are number 4 for Korean, number 5 for English, and number 6 for Japanese. 네, 이번
So let me gladly introduce the moderator of this session. Partner lawyer Ko Kyung-jun. He is working at law firm Seungmin. He was working for a special lawyer for the Jeju and other provincial areas. And he's also acting as a partner lawyer at other law firms as well. Please welcome partner lawyer Ko Kyung-jun.
안녕하십니까. 법무법인
Hello, I am Ko Kyung-jun, the lawyer at the Seungmin. So our topic is before the actual implementation of the autonomous police system, we will look into this from the perspective of the institutions. I'd like to introduce our speakers. First, the Vice Governor for Political Affairs of Jeju Special Self-Governing Province, Ko Young-kwon. So he was born in Jeju Island. He graduated from the Seoul National University and he passed the bar exam. And he started working from law firm Ate. And after opening the office in Jeju Island, he was working in Jeju Island for a long time. He was an advisor for the city government, the education office, and also in this way he was working for various public activities. The primary industry and future new industries are combined to revitalize the sixth industry. And also through the revision of the Special Act for the Jeju Island, he's trying to secure the better autonomous right. Let us invite the governor.
여러분
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ko Young-kwon. So it's my pleasure to be here in this session, which is happening in this beautiful island of Jeju. So today's topic is the advancing model of the municipal police system of Jeju and how to further develop. So let me introduce the background and necessity of municipal police system and major issues of this municipal police system and the necessity to connect between local administration and resident participation and the adjustment of the investigation rate between prosecutors and police. And during this discussion, I'm looking forward to hearing better ideas and insights. So December last year, the act was passed and it will be effective starting from next month. So based on the metropolitan city unit, this will be further increased to the nationwide, and this was because of the Moon Jae-in administration's effort. First, it was selected as one of the national project, and now it is being developed. And it all started from the Kim Dae-jung administration, followed by Roh Moo-hyun administration, when the connection was secured between local administration and public order administration. And there in 2006, Special Act was set, And Jeju has become the first local government to introduce this system. So this is the basic role of the nation to provide a safety for people. And providing more authority to local government is very meaningful in this regard. In order to provide more customized public order services to the people in Jeju. And that is the reason why this system was first introduced in Jeju. So the Special Act on Decentralization and Restructuring of Local Administration System was the basic law to start all this municipal police system. So in 2018, there was an agreement for the adjustment between prosecutors and police for investigation right. So based on this agreement, there was a concern that the police might have more power, but because of this agreement, it pursued to have a balanced investigation or balanced right in enforcing the authority. So based on this police system, the local government was able to run this police small unit patrol stations. So this special act has been becoming the legal ground for that kind of system. So in terms of performance, well, that will be elaborated by Mr. Oh later, but let me just briefly touch upon this. So Jeju was the first one in Korea. It was officially started in 2007. Under this, Jeju was able to provide more customized public services for Jeju people to secure the safety. And in 70 years, there was a big changes in police system. So that was only thanks to the long experience and performances of Jeju municipal police system. Under this system, more close public services have been provided to increase the satisfaction of the Jeju people. So more specifically, the touting activities and the activities to damage the environment and the special judicial areas and children's safety issues have been improved a lot. And along with the local government, public order and security have been strengthened. And in recent study shows that the satisfaction of local people, Jeju people, have been raised. Starting from July 1st, the municipal police system will be effective. And based on this, the connection between local administration and public security administration will be enhanced, based on which more appropriate public services will be provided. So under this, there will be more clear role and responsibilities between national police and municipal police. And the authorities will be clearly assigned. So for that matter, more cooperation between local residents and stakeholders are needed. And having a clear role and responsibility is really important to bring down the confusion. So for that matter, the clear legislation and rules should be prepared. So that is the Article 4 of this Special Act. So the Article 4 states that it clearly specifies the roles between national police and municipal police.
주민의
And the Article 2 is talking about the the traffic-related activities within the region, and also the daily safety activities. In this way, all these are stipulated in this law. So in this way, there is a clear separation between of the duties of the national and autonomous police officers. And also, there is a question whether all these activities can be as a fair exercise of the rights. There is a time that sometimes the national police secure certain the evidence, but they cannot be used as evidence for the trial, and sometimes the prohibition of abuse of authority can happen. And also, sometimes there is the domestic violence treatment related problems. The school violence and the domestic violence are the duties of the autonomous police officers. However, well, the crimes in our daily lives are the duties to take care of for the autonomous police officers. But actually, the injury, the special violence, the abetment, the confinement, the threat, the rape, and the housing intrusion and defamation, all these things are actually closely related to the criminal law. So, sometimes domestic violence takes only one form, but for one case, sometimes a lot of types of crimes are involved. So that is why it is very confusing if we do not have full preparation of separating these duties in a clear manner. And if this kind of complicated crime is reported to the 112, then during the process of deciding who is in charge between the national and autonomous police officers, it takes more time, and then the damage will be affected to the people. And I think there would be the positive effect because the organic cooperation between the local governments and the policing and administration. So it is because the reporting process will be decreased and the also necessary budget can be shared each other. It will also enable the enforced the support for the autonomous public officers in case of more the public security is necessary for local governments. And the local autonomous government's head will think this is very important to get trust from the residents while securing the public security. So I think, well, it can be a promise for the election. And, well, for local governments, it is obvious to have more interest in the cooperation with local autonomous policing. Implementation of autonomous police system can provide another venue to realize the autonomy for the local residents in the area of public security from the perspective of local residents. To provide the tailored public security service for the residents, they can have various local autonomous organizations such as the voluntary, the police officers, the fighters, and like that. So if they make this kind of hearing in a regular way, and then they can find various issues in advance, and then they can sustain the cooperative system. That's the most urgent task. However, while we need to be careful for this kind of cooperative policy operation, sometimes the exterior will be over and exaggerated. If there is a cartel, then maybe we will lose the original purpose of the autonomous police system to provide the public-private cooperative public security service. That is why we have to be cautious to prevent the abuse of investigative rights and authorities. And the adjustment of the investigative rights between the prosecution and the police and revision of criminal law is another important background for implementing the autonomous police system. The prosecution's rights, which were almost like unanimously dominating the whole rights to investigate and prosecute. Now, the right to terminate the case, some of them are moved to the police. So if there is too much focus and too much rights for the police, then there will be some worrisome voices. So that is why we have to provide the thorough training for the police officers, and also the proper process should be prepared. By dividing the rights of the police officers, the autonomous police system can enhance the public security effectiveness, and it can improve the public security service for the residents. But if it's too rapid, then the changes may cause the chaos and disorder. So it can harm our residents. So that is why Jeju Island has suggested the leading autonomous police system to ease this kind of worries, to provide better the public security service, and to help local autonomous government to achieve self-reliance. I think this kind of the balanced development strategy should be improved and pursued. For the sustainable peace and inclusive prosperity, the public security and order is needed. I hope it can success. Thank you.
네, 그 자치경찰제
Thank you for your insightful presentation. Mr. Go, let's give him a big round of applause. So over the past 15 years, he has been deeply involved in the local municipal police system in Jeju. So he introduced this. So this was the discussion has begun since early 2000, and the performance of Jeju has been providing a lot of insights and implications to other local governments as well. So he has been deeply involved in the Jeju prosecution system, police system, and I'm sure that he will be playing active role in making this system more stable in this area.
오른쪽으로 정무
So in this way, we will start the discussion. First, the next to the vice governor, we have the promotion team, the head, the 오방조. So before starting our actual discussion, he has another thing to promote. The key task for the Moon Jae-in administration is to implement the autonomous police system. So since he is working as the promotion team leader, well, he has something to share with us. And he has started the administration and public security combined system, and he discovered various items. Among the 17 local governments, Jeju is the only local government which has implemented this autonomous police system already so far. So, well, the police system has made great success. So let's hear from him for a while.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Oh Gang-jo from Jeju Special Self-Governing Provincial Autonomous Police. So as Mr. Ko mentioned, so the agreement in adjustment, the rights between police and prosecution and other background. Let me briefly introduce my experience performance over based on the past 15 years of my career. So let me begin with a short video.
코로나19 등 재난 상황에 신속하게 대처하며 가장 가까운 곳에서 도민들의 안전을 지켜왔습니다.
주요 활동 사항을 놓겠습니다.
전국에서 가장 높은 제주 지역의 교통 사망사고 발생률을 줄이기 위해 사고 유형 분석을 통한 맞춤형 교통안전 종합대책을 수립하고 추진했습니다. 특히 사회적 문제로 대두된 어린이 보호구역 내 사망사고 문제 해결을 위한 선제적 모델을 만들었습니다. 또 소외되는 지역이 없도록 행복 치안센터를 개소하여 우리 동네 경찰관으로 지역 주민들에게 치안과 행정이 융합된 서비스를 제공하고 있습니다.
제주의 청정 살림, 환경 보존을 위한 선제적이고 전문성 있는 특별 사법 경찰 활동을 강화해 자치 경찰의 위상을 정립해 나가고 있습니다.
제주 자치경찰이 대한민국의 자치경찰의 미래가 되는 그날까지 제주 자치경찰은 오늘도 나아갑니다. 제주 자치경찰이 가는 길이 대한민국 자치경찰의 미래입니다.
So let me begin with the general current status. After the introduction of the autonomous police system in Jeju, and then how much we have achieved. And the reason why I divided my contents like this is because based on the 15 years of experience, now we have 156 people. But in the beginning, we had only over 30 people in 2006. But over the past 15 years, the number has not been increasing very high. So that shows that the lack of human resources. So now we have more than like a 400 because we got the like a 268 additional human resources. So based on this timeline, I divided my presentation. So in 2006, under the participatory administration, this Jeju Autonomous Police was introduced. Since 2020, and we have been implementing like two different autonomous police system. So 268 people have been assigned for their own roles and responsibilities. So since the passage of the act, that number has returned to their original job. So this shows the organization. So we have 1 division, 3 squad, and 1 center. And like I mentioned, we have 165 people. And this is directly under the organization. So this shows the general information. In terms of budget, we have 170 billion won. And in terms of weapons, we have 85 weapons for policing. In terms of the cost for the province, the operation and the human cost are the proportion of 8:2. And that this is the major achievement in terms of 4. So safety in traffic and the investigation for special judicial police and the traffic information center and the policing in tourism. So we have been providing more specialized policing service. So for that matter, we have a separate team or division. And under the Special Judicial Act, we are providing this dedicated division to enhance the security of local people. And in terms of traffic safety, this autonomous police is operating and providing in public security services for big event. So this shows how the system has been developed. So based on the cooperation with relevant organization, especially since 2018 until the end of 2020, we have carried out 12 different projects.
Major achievement. First, the traffic area. The traffic death has been controlled, and that's the 3 must the tasks, because the budget for the public roads, the budget is held by the local government, and also the 3 factors of traffic is the improvement and the education and preventing the accidents. So we need the statistics of the accidents regarding the traffic, and also the local governments is in control of the budget, and also it provides education. That is why we focus on the traffic related this policing. We expanded the numbers of the officials and enhanced various preventive measures, and then we could achieve to lower the number of the accidents to the 60s. And this is the financial account. So 5.6 billion won is collected, and this tax is used for the traffic accident prevention. And the next one is the school zone. The school zone law has enforced and improved. Well, the parking and stopping is prevented, and there are the CCTV installation department. Actually, the department in charge of this matter is separate depending on each local government, but Jeju Island unified the management system. So, the school zone accidents were the problems for quite a long time. However, we could improve the school zone area to prevent the school zone accidents, and this is the exemplar case, and it was selected by the Ministry of the Public Administration. And You see, there are two springs on the Korean Jeju Island, and this area is the focus of the administration, public administration, and public security. Many people are actually settling down in this area, and the number of seniors is increasing in this area. So the public administration and traffic management needs are increasing in this area. So we decided to make a special center to be in charge of the public administration and public security at the same time. Previously, the prevention of crime and public security and issuance of the public administration documents, these were separated, but now they are integrated. Also, we are capturing the abandoned dogs. So residents are really satisfied with the combined the center for the public administration and public security. The COVID-19 is another issue for us. For the autonomous police officers, the prevention of crisis is the basic task. Also, the autonomous police officers are helping to ease this kind of the crisis. Jeju autonomous police, the officers are working hard by collaborating with the National Police Agency in Jeju Island. We are trying to seek for the happiness of Jeju residents. Thank you very much. We could hear the performance of the Jeju Special Self-Governing Provincial Autonomous Police. Is there any comments or questions to Mr. Oh regarding his presentation? Okay, then let me ask one question to you, Mr. Oh. So there is the Autonomous Governing Committee is about to be initiated in Jeju Island. And one thing unique is that it has kind of binary the system of the policing in Jeju Island. Why is it only like special? How come you have like a dual the policing system in Jeju Island? Is there any specific reason behind that? Well, let me explain this first. For Jeju Island, well, the mother law for the autonomous police officers for Jeju is Special Jeju Act, and the newly introducing the autonomous the police officers is actually the Police Act. So there are two laws. So that's kind of like a problem to manage these systems. So there will be the Autonomous Police Officer Committee. So the autonomous police officers are under the control of the local government. So the issues surrounding the policing in Jeju Island will be taken care by the committee which will be launched soon. And there's a problem to happen is actually covered in the slide, the combined center and school zone and reducing the traffic accidents. So these were the duties for the autonomous police officers. But because of the police officers to be dispatched to Jeju Island, this task is actually stopped at this moment. While the central government's, the autonomous policing is actually the unified system, but the Jeju Island has been implementing this special autonomous police system has been 15 years. So we are asking the central government to make this special system to be settled down well by expanding the current the duties. I know that from the July 1st, the autonomous police system will be initiated. However, I think the Jeju model is binary one, but if it can sustain in this way for a while, then I think it will help the issues, because I think there will be some ups and downs in the beginning of the implementation of local autonomous the police system under the national law. Then let me introduce the next speaker, next panelist. And he is the Jung Eun-seok, chairman of the Korean Society of Criminal Procedure Law. And he's working in the Seogyung University as a professor. He graduated from the Yonsei University. He's the MD and he has JD, and he used to work as an advisor to adjust the investigative rights, the criminal law, and the lawsuit act, and several the topics were covered, and he published several books. In the Republic of Korea, he is the expert in the area of the Crime and Lawsuit Act. Let me give him the floor.
Thank you for your wonderful introduction. I'm Jung Eun-seok from Korean Society of Criminal Procedure Law. Thank you for your presentation. And in order to add my idea, let me share what I've been working on. So let me focus on my book. Let's start with the page 29 that provides the basic background for this autonomous police system. And from page 30, it provides the background for discussion. So Korea, we have very small land, and the policing power has been diversified or disseminated, and there's moral problems and the quality imbalance between regions in terms of policing service and capability. So the nation has all the rights to control all the police system entire country. But by having this autonomous police system, the administrative power from the country can be decentralized to the local government to provide more customized public security to local people. Then why can it be a problem? So if we move to page 32, it provides why it is important to have the autonomous police system. So autonomous police is the concept opposing to the national police. So the installation and operation, and if this belongs to the country, it's national police. But if not, it's the local municipal police. So the functions and activities and responsibilities the emphasis on these things can be different. So that's the different concept between national and local or autonomous police. So if we move on to page 36, so autonomous police, it's related to the adjustment of the investigation rights between police and prosecutors. So it has, as you can see, there is 6 serious crimes, which includes the 6 different crimes. And it also includes the High Official Investigation Office. So there's 6 different crimes are under the prosecutor. On the other hand, the senior high-ranking official investigation office is responsible for the crimes for high-ranking officials. So where that investigation rights should go? So 6 crimes should be handled by the National Investigation Office. So that was the reason why all the issue has begun. If we go back to page 33, so the 5th line from the bottom, so the criteria for the affairs of local government is the affairs that are closely related to the local resident. And the next page, then what are the affairs that are closely related to the local people? So it describes that affairs. So whether it's responsibility for nation or local government, that's very important for the roles and responsibilities. What about the investigational rights? So if the investigational rights are the responsibility of national police or local autonomous police, and in the case of United States, which has a federal system, each and every state has its own right to enforce its policing right. So the governor and the head of the National Police Agency have a very defined roles and responsibilities. On the other hand, in Korea, the Criminal and Lawsuit Act can only be handled in the National Assembly. And as I said, in terms of investigation, the Senior Servant Corruption Investigation Unit. So we still need to solve some discussion issues with these relevant units and other relevant offices. So Article 4 states that
3조에서
so if you look, well, that describes the stipulates or the detailed and distinction.
So the life, the body, the asset, and the public safety, if it is like a heinous crime or the rapid the case, then how can we manage this? So to what extent should we transfer the duties of the national police towards the local autonomous police system or the LAP? So the key point is that actually the transferring of some of those national police's duties to the local one. So some has the investigative system. So from the prosecution to the police, some of those investigative rights were transferred. Then at this point, also to what extent can we transfer to the national police's duties? So there were some history surrounding that. Let's go to the page 41. And the 43, and then you see the histories. It's written in Korean, but you can refer to this table. And let's skip to the page 45. And then it's a recommendation for reforming the police and the draft and how to do this. Should we sustain the draft or can we just make like a new organization in charge of this, the autonomous policing? So the autonomous police, it can perform only some of those the police tasks. And so 1999's version moved a little bit forward, and the Seoul Metropolitan City Government, the recommendation was even like progressive, more progressive. So the information collection, the dealing with North, and only some of the tasks will be taken care by the national one, and the most of those the duties will be transferred to the local ones. So that was the suggestion. So there are some pros and cons. And from July 1st, we will start the autonomous police system. So the Commission General will has the in charge. So actually, the preventing the how can I say, like getting inside the investigation, that was the key. So I think for all investigations, all those investigative rights to local autonomous police system, which was recommended by the Seoul Metropolitan Government, I think that's the ideal one, just like the U.S. cases. It's not about like how to transfer some of those rights to the local one, but instead, well, moving most of them. I think that's the key. I think the information collection, the rights will also move to the police. Most of those duties will be transferred to the local police system, so they will care of the most of the things, and the national one will do some like overarching the matters or the important matters for the national level. Is it only the superficial this system, or can it work really in a practical manner? So that's the issue that we have to think about. Thank you. The settlement of the local autonomous police system was his presentation. Thank you very much. Is there any question or comment from the floor or the audience to him? Or can I ask one question? Well, in Jeju Island, the autonomous police system has been implemented for 15 years, and there were some like there are very few issues surrounding the corruption or this kind of thing. But before the initiating the autonomous, the local police system, there are some worried voices that there might be some issues. Can you talk about this?
As mentioned, the autonomous police system in Jeju has been mainly focusing on the public security issues. But bribing and corruption is mainly related to the investigational right. So it is at this point hard to know. So how it can be played out in the future, we have to wait and see. But without investigation rights transferred to local government, well, we cannot discuss. So we can only discuss after this investigational right is transferred to this system. So that's why only having the responsibilities on the closely relate, issues to the related to local people cannot be really effective. So thank you for your answer. Now let me introduce the next discussant. So representative lawyer Kim Jung-chul of law firm Uri. Lawyer Kim has been working, graduated from Korea University and has a master's degree afterward. And after passing the bar exam, he's been engaged in various areas and now working as a lawyer. And now he is working as a deliberator in Seoul Deliberation Committee, and he was teaching in Seogang University and advisors. And other than that, he has been deeply engaged in legal areas as well. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Kim Jung-chul. So let me briefly touch on the agreement on investigation rights adjustment between prosecutors and police. So since the amendment of Criminal and Lawsuit Act in 2020, how to adjust this investigational right has been on the discussion table. So prosecutors lost investigational right and needs to work as a cooperator. So all the investigative right has been transferred to the police. And only prosecution rights are remaining on prosecutor. But soon it can also transfer to the police as well. So the direction that we are seeing is that the prosecutor will not exercise the investigation right and only dividing the two. That is the direction that the prosecutor is seeing at this moment. So regarding local municipal policing system, this adjustment has always been discussed together because the great power given to a great or big-sized organization can have a great impact, and it is also related to the local resident. So decentralizing the power of the prosecutor, in that regard, this autonomous police system was introduced. And that was also part of the prosecutor reform. So this one we are discussing here will become a very important, like a milestone for the next one. So control right, meaning the demanding for the investigation and demanding for the prosecution and demanding for punishment. In terms of that, the control can, so those controls are on the police. So there's a possibility that the police has a more and more power. So in that regard, this autonomous police system can be effective in then decentralizing the police power. Now the amendment of the Special Act, the national police, with this, at this moment, this autonomous police is kind of supporting the national police because police has its own rules and responsibility. And what we are looking for is about the adjustment of investigative rights for better control. So dividing the control in a proper way has been at the center of discussion. But it's not dividing the investigative rights, but it looks like it's like dividing the administrative rights. And the structure, in terms of structure, the unified model has been emphasized. So that is not the original intention, I guess. So Article 4 of this special act, most of the local affairs are regarding the affairs for the local resident, such as traffic-related matters. And the investigative affairs are about the school violence and domestic violence and violence in traffic. But it doesn't really describe the extent. And in terms of minor crime, well, can national police be involved? So that kind of questions can arise because there's still a gray area. So the problem is that the power and authority of the police can only grow. The autonomous police system, if they become independent, each local government will have to recruit more human resources, meaning that the organization will only grow and the tax and cost will be input into that organization. So, but that might enhance the authority of the national police. So that's possible problem that can happen in the future. So for that matter, the autonomous police should be given independent power to investigate based on defined roles and responsibilities. So that is the main original intent of having the system. But if that is conducted or controlled by the centralized authority, well, that is not the original intention of the system. And the over control and over supervision of the central one can also raise the problem. So the affairs for autonomous police system regards the public well-being. And in this case, the intervention can be made. And the head of the police agency can order under his power. So that may arise another potential side effect. So the scope of the work of the autonomous police system, and it is not exclusive and it is not independent. So the original responsibility of the police, national police, so there is no clear distinction between the two, and it can only be the other policing affairs that we were not intending in the beginning.
So, National Police's investigation and other authorities are centered and concentrated to the national system, so there's no right to control the police officers, so that is the problem. The prosecution has the rights to control the police officers. Now it can only require the complemented the investigation or the reinvestigation. Most of those investigations will be done by the police officers, and even almost the prosecution rights are transferred to the police office agency, then we need the binary system. So this kind of dual system is necessary so that the national police agency and local autonomous police agency, they have different duties in dual track, and then we can go together. The Jeju Island has been implemented for this autonomous police system for 15 years, which is quite a long time, and there was a lot of achievements and performance. So based on that, I think the Jeju can suggest the future direction for the development of autonomous police system. I think the setting the standards is very important, but I think regarding the investigative authority, we have more to develop, so we can refer to the Jeju's case. Within the Jeju Island, there are crimes happening in Jeju Island. If it has the independent investigative right, and then there can be an exemplar case, I hope it can expand it as the case to the whole nation. Thank you. This is the end of my discussion. So you talked about how we should go forward with the local autonomous police system regarding the adjustment of the investigative rights between prosecution and police agency. I think I want to add something to the lawyer Kim. As an actual implementer, for 15 years, I was in charge of running this autonomous police system in Jeju Island. And then the national autonomous police system will be introduced. So we are at the critical point. After the Lee Myung-bak and Park Geun-hye administration, for the first time in Moon Jae-in administration, this is the firstly initiated the autonomous police system. Hearing Mr. Lee, there are the judicial matter and public administrative matter. So there are three sectors: daily lives, the crime and traffic, and the children or the juvenile, the crime. And the rest of, so these duties are separated, and some of those orders cannot be made. There are some cases to reduce this kind of authority internally. From the perspective of the public administration, some of the duties is kind of like national duties, even though it's allocated to the local government. What that means here is, even though it's duties for the local governments, but there's no one task which is actually transferred to the local government. Despite that, the Police Act is saying that the intention to revise this is to combine this national and local police agency to provide tailored service to the local residents in terms of public security. There's no transferred duty, and the autonomous police system, even though they are the national police officer, but they have to perform this kind of tasks, but there's no transfer task yet. So ironically, I think there are some like a mismatch. So in that sense, I'm agreeing with the lawyer law from the actual manager of the autonomous police system. Is there any other comment that you want to add? Thank you very much. And then let me invite the last the panelist, the counselor of Embassy of Japan in Korea, Takayoshi Tochiya. He graduated from the law in the Tokyo University, and he studied in the Vanderbilt. So he will introduce the local autonomous police system in Japan.
And let me start with the conclusion. The right of the democracy of the police and the political neutrality and the security responsibility. So under these things settled down, the harmonious resolution can be made. So in terms of Japan, it was 47 prefectures and Todobu Prefecture autonomous police system. So let me touch upon this system. So this belongs to the National Police Agency, and the autonomous police system is under the Todogu Prefecture Police Agency. In Japan, the execution and affairs can, well, other than these things, all the other things can be done by the autonomous police system. And the control and supervision and public securities are handled by the municipal police system. So in that respect, I think it can be efficiently implemented. But local police system, they have administrative police and investigative police. So in that way, we have unified policing system. So I think that can give some implication on Korea. Next, the democratic rights of the police and political neutrality. We have this designated system in police agency, but this agency is a specially established system. So the police agency can work under the cooperation with this agency. And national So the head of this committee is designated by the Prime Minister. And there's a 5 commissioner appointed by the Prime Minister, but it has to get the agreement of the Congress or National Assembly or Cabinet in Japan's case. And this committee is it's greatly influenced by the system. And the head of the local public security committee can be influenced by the national system, of course, and also the Public Safety Committee in relation with the National Safety Committee. Can work in hand in hand, and the relevant people with responsibility can be appointed by the relevant stakeholders. And where it requires the agreement of the Todobu Prefecture.
市直準立村ぬる
So in that way, even though it's local autonomous police agency, it has the human rights authority. So within the set range of the tasks of the police agency, well, it has both. It can deal with the characteristics of the national police system and the local autonomous one. So it can secure the rights and authority. Next, I wanted to talk about the relations. There's the Procedure Act in Japan, and it is following the act. In Japan, so the police agency is not under the control, and it has separated the investigative right. So it is arranging the investigative right itself, and it has improved its autonomous police system. And the prosecution has the accusation right, and police has the investigative rights. So they are going together. So the relation between the prosecution and police is coexistence. If the victim is accused, and I think they are working together, and in Japan, there's an awareness that they have to work together. Like I said before, most of them are the local governments hired the public officials. So they are public officials to be dispatched to the autonomous police system, and the senior superintendent or the higher levels, then they can work for a while, and then they can move to the other agency. And so across the nation, for instance, if it's a serious crime, there are some cases to conduct the joint investigation with other provinces or other regional communities, the police agency. The superintendent, the inspector, senior inspector, they can work together. In this way, through this kind of collaboration, they are working for the benefit of the national police duty, And then after finishing this, and then they can go back to the regional, the police agency, and then they can be promoted. So if someone who has the national police agency experience, and then he can go back to the local autonomous the police agency, and then it can enhance the relation between the local and the national the police agency. So in this way, we can achieve a harmony between the local and the national police agency. They are becoming kind of like achieving the one integrated the policing system in Japan. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Can I ask a question, Counselor Tochiya? Takayoshi? You said that in Japan, the prime minister and the governor cannot affect to the autonomous police, and so is it really implementing in terms of political neutrality? So can you briefly answer to my question? My answer is yes. Yes, my answer is yes. Police in Japan has been positioned very neutral. And Japanese people believe that. So high-ranking officials in local government in Japan, there's no like a bribing cases. I mean, for that one, the police can investigate. So in the administrative district in Japan, the police can investigate in terms of irregularities and bribing cases. So given this, I think, well, there's few cases in Japan, but this local police in Japan can respond to that kind of incident. So that's the strength of the Japanese police, I think. And that represents the political neutrality of the Japanese police, I think. Thank you for your answer. So we had the presentation and 4 discussions. And now we can take the questions from the floor. And then, but that was the schedule. So do you have any questions to the panel? If you have, just raise your hand. Can I have a brief comment? So, crime itself, well, there's a prevention for crime, and then the suppression and investigation. So from investigation, it involves other people, and that raises the human rights issues. So investigating and issuing the warrant, and that regards the human rights violation. So the actor of the nation, well, for the autonomous police system, but it has a less or fewer risk in invading or violating human rights. Because its original intention is to help, is to support the people in local area in detailed way and tailored way. So before calling for the relevant offices for investigation, where local residents can be given help from local police. So prevention and suppression, that's the general administrative policing, and only after investigation, that's the next level. So calculating pros and cons. Direct investigation accounts for only 2% in Korea. So prosecutors conducted only 2% of the investigation. And because of that small percentage, they have lost the public trust. So now transferring that right to the police. Now we are having different perspective of discussion. So as a Korean,
작용을 좀 분산하자는 게 자칫
The deciding and dividing this kind of the rights into two, it's the key. But we have to prevent the violation of human rights. Well, if it's like focusing on the preventing the crimes, then well, there will be less the human rights violation. And then actually the investigative rights actually were the focus, and to transfer and introduce the rights to the autonomous police agency and introducing the autonomous police agency. But 98% of the investigative rights were transferred to the police agency. The reinvestigation right or the complement investigation, those are all that the prosecution has. Then, how can we secure the human rights of the citizens? That's the first question. To what extent the local autonomous police agency can have the rights to investigate. So it's not about like giving the rights to someone or not. It's about the human rights and taking care of our citizens. I think that should be the focus of this issue. Now, the police agency got huge in its size. What rights to be transferred? How can we control this agency? I think that should be talked. Thank you very much, the Professor Chang. I think that's the further agenda for us to discuss. Since there's no comment or question, I think I should wrap up this session. Well, this session is live streaming on YouTube. Would there be any question or comment? If not, I think I need to wrap up this session because already our time has passed. Let me wrap up the session. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to the Vice Governor, Ko, and other four panelists. Thank you for taking your time. With this, let us wrap up the session on the institutional approach for the activation of local municipal police system. I also thank all the digital audience and the floor. Thank you.
thank you for your participation. Let's give them a warm round of applause. So this concludes the 2021 Judge Forum sessions, where we have covered various topics over the past 3 days, sharing thought-provoking insights. So from 5:10, we are going to have a closing ceremony of the 2021 Judge Forum. I'm Choi-ji. Thank you for participating in this forum.